that lasts till March, and it was never that big of a deal in his neighborhood. So, Art Biersbach, the seen and unseen. Oh, thank you. I need Art's evaluator, which is Katrin. Katrin?
I'm sorry? Oh, yeah. So Art is going to be speaking on, this is the second time he's going to be giving a speech called The Seen and Unseen, and he'll be doing it, the time is 6 to 8 minutes.
Actually, we're going to give him 7 to 9 because we're down to 3 speakers.
Okay, great.
And Katrin did the evaluation, just a note, the first time, so she gets to do it a second
That's
time.
right.
Art Biersbach, The Seen and Unseen.
Thank you so much. It was a really nice day, at least for this part of the world. There were lots of puffy white clouds, but you could actually see blue in between. Temperature was pretty nice, the breeze was pleasant. And Tony is walking along far enough from Musco River that the smell isn't too bad. Although, now you can notice the dumpsters haven't been emptied recently. And as Tony's walking along the sidewalk, he comes up on a line. And as you do in this part of the world, you get in the line. If there's a line, there's something good at the front. This is 1970s Moscow, and that's the way the black market works. So he's in line, starts talking, and finds out they're selling oranges up front. For most people, this is a really big deal. The state store hasn't had oranges since forever. For Tony, not so much. You see, Tony is an American working in the American Embassy in Moscow. But being of Italian heritage, with longish hair and a scruffy beard, everybody just assumes he's an Italian studying abroad. And he fits right in. After a few minutes, the guy at the front of the line buys all the oranges, changes the price in the sign, and starts selling oranges at a higher price. Well, Tony feigns outrage. Comrades, do you see what's going on? And he gets shouted down immediately. Can't even finish the sentence. Because if he causes a disturbance, the police show up and confiscate the oranges. How does society get to this point? The Soviet Union was established according to this principle. It says Karl Marx, but it was actually a very popular phrase in the early 19th century. And it's doomed to fail. That's because of another common phrase in the 19th century written by Frederick Bastiat, a French economist. That which is seen, and that which is unseen. The seen part is that very idealistic, very nice, we'll collect everything up and share it. It sounds great. But let's think about what is the unseen part. There is no benefit to working hard. There's no benefit to overtime. So really, when the government collects up everything, they don't get that much. In fact, there's really no benefit to working. So you have to be forced to work. Then, what else is unseen? Well, the bureaucrats are the ones that collect everything up. So of course, they take what they want first. And they take care of their political masters. So what's left? You get scraps. So your need is your share of the scraps. Bottom line, no oranges for you. My second experience with communism was being part of the aircrew orientation program where we visited East Berlin. And in '85, as you approach Checkpoint Charlie, West Berlin was really a pretty nice place to be. But as the bus goes through Checkpoint Charlie, it's kind of like the whole world goes gray. It was like we were driving into a black and white movie. Now, of course, it wasn't all gray, but it felt that way. When you got off the bus, you could feel the weight just pressing down. And you could see it in the people walking around. They were just bent over. They looked just like they were beaten. My wife and I kind of ditched the crowd and just walked around a little bit. And I had to wear my uniform for this trip without name tag. And it was like we were walking around a bubble. No small talk. Now, when we walked into a shop, we got taken care of immediately. The Russians had trained the Germans on who won the war. And we were part of that crowd. So we got great service, but no chit-chat, no small talk. Why? If someone was seen socializing with an American, they'd be reported to Stasi, the Ministry of State Security. And they would be seen as disloyal. There was some color for state holidays, and of course, state holidays were not optional. You celebrated. Most buildings didn't look like this, though. They were much closer together, the apartment buildings, and most of them leaned. They either tended to lean towards each other or lean away. We weren't allowed to take pictures of those. It was a state secret. The unseen is that if you had no incentive to work, you had no incentive to work well, and quality sucked. It was really not a very nice place to be at all. Today, we try and take the same thing and dress it up as democratic socialism. Same thing. There is no difference. One more quick example. National health care in Britain. I lived 4 years in Britain, had a ball, had a neighbor that she was just a wonderful lady. But as we'll find out under Medicare for All, she didn't get that hip transplant. She was a little bit older, and she wound up in her final years in great pain, confined to a walker. Because some bureaucrat decided she was too old, didn't deserve a hip transplant. So when you hear Medicare for All, think Medicare for none. That's what wound up in Britain. Marx said, democracy is the path to socialism. He understood one man, one vote, one time. And actually, I've observed, is the path to communism. Because a socialist is merely a communist who doesn't yet have absolute power. Every communist government is a totalitarian government. They have to be. Otherwise, they don't get to skim the cream off the top. Of course, you don't have to like it. As the North Korean said when he was asked what it was like to live in North Korea, he said, "Oh, I can't complain." He couldn't. And several people have found that out. People complained under National Socialism, 12 million of them died. Under International Socialism, 28 million died. And bring them both together under Mao, we'll never know the exact number, 40 million died. We are not in the United States a democracy. We are a democratic republic. Our Constitution, if we choose to follow it, protects us from the tyranny of the majority. What today's socialists hope remains unseen is that if we don't follow our Constitution, this is what we get. that is unseen right now.